Welcome to the program today, the Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Sid Morris, and we're going to be today devoting our discussion to the ROTC program at UNI. My guest today is John Thompson, recruiting officer for the UNI ROTC. Welcome, John.
Glad to be here, Sid.
And and also Second Lieutenant Austin Reekley.
Yep.
Did I get it right?
You got it, Sid.
Great. And you are a recent graduate. In fact, I had the pleasure of attending your graduation, so I want to welcome you here today.
Thank you.
Our mission today is to talk about the ROTC at UNI, your responsibilities. You are Director of Recruiting.
Yes.
Could you take a few minutes to tell us what you do and what your job is?
Sure. I'm the Recruiting Operations Officer with the ROTC program, and it really breaks it down. There's two main roles that I deal with. One is scholarships, which is helping students from high school through people in college to apply for the numerous scholarship programs that the Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC, has available to them. And the other part is enrollment, which is really getting people into the program, and then I can work with them in terms of if they want to continue on and become an officer to make that decision, and if they want to apply for a scholarship, help them through that process as well. So scholarship and enrollments are really my two main responsibilities, and in those there's a lot of different things. I talk quite a bit with high school students. I talk a lot with college students, prospects that have already maybe enlisted in the National Guard or the Army Reserve that are looking to go to college. So again, trying to get them into the program and then help them make an informed decision on if they want to become an officer. Talk to them about the different opportunities and different roadmaps that they can do in order to get to that.
Expand a little bit on the scholarship. Then, in other words, there's money available for their tuition and their expenses. Talk about that.
Army ROTC nationwide is one of the largest sources of scholarships to college students. Our scholarships are all merit-based. There's no financial aid, financial need taken into account whatsoever. They're all merit-based. There's different scholarship programs, but every scholarship that we have basically provides the same benefits. They get 100% of tuition and fees, or room and board up to $10,000. At UNI, that's a little bit over $8,000 per year, so it would cover the cost of room and board at UNI. They get a $600 per semester book allowance to offset the cost of books and other school supplies. And then they also get a monthly stipend that increases as they go through the program. It starts at $300 as a freshman cadet if they have a scholarship that year, and it increases up to $500 a month as a senior cadet. And that's money that goes directly to them that they can use for other living expenses or whatever they need to use that for. And there's different programs with the scholarships. We have scholarships for cadets that want to be competitive to go on active duty. We have guaranteed reserve forces duty scholarships that again pay the same benefits, but those cadets, and Lieutenant Reichley was one of those, they go into either the National Guard or the Army Reserve. So they're guaranteed that reserve component slot. We have scholarships for nurses, for science, technology, engineering, and math majors. And the scholarships can go from a 4-year, high school applicant down to a 2-year for somebody who, maybe made that decision, right before their junior year that they want to be an officer. And then, again, whatever the program is, they all pay the same financial benefits.
So if they want to become an officer, then there's they have to do the 4 years then to do.
They, in terms of getting through ROTC, the normal progression is a 4-year. They come in as a freshman. They take one military science class, college level credit class per semester. But there's also different programs to make up for those first 2 years of ROTC. If somebody enlisted in the National Guard, the Army Reserve, or even active duty, and then they come to college, their basic training experience can give them credit for the first 2 years of ROTC. We can combine some military science classes, like their sophomore year, combine their the first and second year classes. We also have a program called the Leader Training Course at Fort Knox, Kentucky, where cadets go there for about 4 weeks over the summer before their junior year, and then that also gives them credit for the first 2 years of ROTC. So normally it is a 4-year program. The only thing is on the last 2 years, there's no way to you have to complete those last 2 years. So at least a minimum of 2 years left to get through our program.
Right. Well, Austin, Lieutenant Austin, you went through this procedure that he's talking about.
Yep.
Tell us about why you joined and what motivated you to become involved and become an officer.
I did the different steps to get there. I enlisted in the Army National Guard first, back in 2006, and then went to school, started my college career. Didn't really want to do the whole ROTC thing. I knew about it. I didn't really know what it was all about yet, but I was more looking at just go to school. Then 2010 hit, and I deployed to Afghanistan. Came back from Afghanistan. I had a great experience being overseas. One of the things I saw though was I saw great leadership, and then I saw parts where we're missing it. So I thought, if I can help someone better than what I was, I want to take that progression. So then I looked into the ROTC program, and then I jumped in and was able just to do the 2 years, the junior senior years, since I had basic training done already. So I jumped right in and finished out my last 2 years of school and got commissioned at the same time. So
your experience in Afghanistan after 2 years of college?
Yep.
And then that's when your interest in ROTC happened.
Yep, that's when I kind of got the nudge to go the officer route and see the other side and start making the plays instead of having to execute them.
Well, you wanted to be in charge and make all those rules. I mean, that was
it always helps every once in a while, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, well, that's great. And you chose UNI.
Yep. So I'm from Sioux Center, Iowa, which is about 4 hours away, which I always tell everybody it's a perfect distance. You're far enough away where your parents won't drop in, but you're close enough to home, you can go home if you have to. So.
That's interesting. Well, tell us, share with us a little bit about your experiences. I know there will be viewers that will be thinking about ROTC, and tell us about your own feelings about your experience and what kind of adjustment it was to make that.
UNI ROTC it's an outstanding program. We're a very tight-knit group. We're not one of the bigger programs, but we are by far probably one of the best. 8 people in my class last year. They were probably my 8 best friends in college. So it was, some of that comes from you spend a lot of time together. So you either build the bond or it makes it a lot worse. We were fortunate enough, we built great ties, great friendships, and we went through everything together. From working out every morning, to doing our afternoon leadership labs, to weekend training. I mean, we did it all together and we did it as a team. So it made the whole experience that much better.
Your statement about friendships and that tie in a military group, I know exactly what you're talking about because I was in Korea, and that is so important, especially when you're in combat.
Yep.
And so that's interesting that you mentioned that as something that you liked and experienced.
That's one of the things about ROTC is, we, as they progress through the program, they come in, whenever they begin the program, whether it's a freshman or like in Austin's case, coming in as a junior, you come into the program, maybe not knowing a lot of other people. UNI gets students from across Iowa and some outside of that. They probably don't know each other, so they come in, and what we do is the way the program is designed is they have to start working together as a team, because as they continue through the program, they're going to be working together, and by the time they're the seniors in the program, they're planning the training. This is all under the oversight of the cadre, but the cadets plan like our field training exercises, our weekly leadership laboratories that we had, the hands-on part of our training. So if they don't form that team, they're not going to be effective in doing that. And of course, it's like any organization, any unit, the other people below them will see that, that lack of organization, that lack of working together, lack of teamwork, and that can have a detrimental effect on any unit or organization. So it's important that they build that team, start working together, and as they continue through the program, just continue to strengthen those bonds, and then they graduate, they go off to different parts of the Army, but they all will stay in touch with each other probably for the rest of their lives.
Right. So. Yeah, that's very important. I come to your graduations each year. I really appreciate being invited to that, and I can sense that united effort that you teach them to do. So important in military.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of minutes left, and are you able to designate what you want to do and what you want to specialize in, and that sort of thing? Can you choose different subject areas to study and be a part of?
In terms of college and taking a major, we don't have any restrictions on what majors our ROTC cadets can take. So they can take anything that the university offers. As long it is a 4-year degree program, they can take that. We do require them to fill out an academic plan, so we know that they're on track to graduate by usually May of their senior year. But they can take any subject basically that they want, major in anything. In terms of post-commissioning, again, we commission officers into the active duty, the Army Reserve, and the National Guard. About 75% of officers in the Army in all components come through an ROTC program nationwide.
Really, 75%?
About 75% of the officers all come through an ROTC
that's
program.
Interesting.
And that's actually it started back in the early 1900s. As they were expanding, especially for World War I, and then of course for World War II, to get, West Point could not fill the requirements for the officer slots, so they started the ROTC programs at universities, and right now there's about 275 programs nationwide, and with another 1,000 partner schools, like in our case, University of Dubuque is our partner, so about 1,300 schools nationwide, people can take ROTC. In terms of, again, when they go into, when they become commissioned, there's some choice in that, but the Army has a process in place, like everything, where what they'll do is they will rank the cadets to determine, from the top cadet in the nation down to about number 5,000. The top 10% usually get their first choice. A lot of them will choose active duty. There's also some of those 10% cadets that will want to go into the National Guard or the Army Reserve. But the higher they are, the more choice they get in terms of their component, their branch, and what they're going to do after that.
We have to take a break right now, and when we come back, I know you've brought some pictures, and I think there are probably pictures of the training and that sort of thing. So when we come back, let's show the pictures and talk to our audience through those pictures.
All right.
We'll be right back after this word.
Dear CFU, recently we had a home energy audit through your House Calls program. The audit gave us information we needed to make good decisions, and your rebates helped us upgrade our insulation air conditioner and furnace. Our thanks to everyone at CFU. Without exception, your employees were helpful, friendly, and efficient. We feel lucky to live in a city with a utility service the caliber of CFU.
Cedar Falls Utilities. Our family serving your family.
We all know that the Cedar Valley is a great place to live and work. And there are many individuals and organizations that are doing their part to improve the quality of life for everyone that calls this their home. On Serving the Valley, we sit down with these service organizations to learn more about different projects and events that need your support. We all need to do our part to help out our community. Tune into Serving the Valley to learn more.
Welcome back to our program today. And Colonel Thompson, you brought some pictures for us to see, and these are probably experiences that you've had, or the vets, or the recruits have. Let's show those pictures now and show.
You know, a big thing that we want to do is expand awareness on the campus and the community about ROTC, and you can see some examples here. We attend a lot of different recruiting events at the university and at local high schools. You know, we set up information tables, and what I like to do in most cases is have a cadet, or like this summer, Austin here, since he just graduated and commissioned, work with those to share their experiences with the prospects or the students that are coming up to get information. We are also a hands-on leadership training program, so it's more than just you know, a classroom part. And you can see some of the things we do here: physical training, running, and doing all kinds of different things that you associate with the Army, push-ups, and you know, we still do those, but there's a lot of other things that we do. Land navigation training, being able to find your way through the woods. If you're leading a unit, obviously you don't want to get lost, so you need to be able to get from point A to point B, so that's a big focus of our training. This picture in the bottom here is the Ranger Challenge team. This is a competition where we compete with the other schools in Iowa. We put together anywhere from 5-person teams to 9-person teams. Some of them are all male, some of them are female. This, I believe, is our female team. But what they do, it's a weekend competition. They compete against the other teams, and by the time they get back on Sunday, they're pretty exhausted, but it's also something, you know, they've accomplished something. Again, so it's part of that instilling confidence, physical fitness, and leadership that we do throughout our program. Mm-hmm. You know, being a hands-on leadership training program, you're not going to get that just in the classroom. You need to be able to get out and practice those things that we do. I tell prospects, it's like when you take a science class, you have a chemistry class, you learn about theory, then you go into the lab and you mix chemicals together, hopefully nothing blows up. In our case, you know, we give them leadership theory, different things in the classroom, and then we do the hands-on portion in our weekly leadership laboratory. And then one weekend each semester, we go out on for our field training exercise, or leader training exercise, to practice those things almost in a full-scale environment.
Austin, you went through all of those.
Yeah.
What do you have? What are your thoughts about your experience in doing that?
We're busy to a point where we're not too busy, but it's different than the normal college student. Mm-hmm. I mean, most of our other college friends, come weekends, they go home or go to a football game. No, we had to go play in the woods. Yeah. Which most people kind of think, well, that's weird. Yeah. But, I mean, it's a blast. We go out, we do land navigation all day, and then we go out at night. So it really gets your training right. And then the next day we turn around and do situational training exercises where we have paintball guns. So we go out and we really get after it. Makes it a little more real when the paintball is coming back at you. But it's a good weekend. Then we do leadership reaction courses where we're really trying to develop cadets now on how to problem solve and do it quick on the fly. So we throw different problems at them, give them 1 minute, hey, how are you going to solve this problem, and get your people through. So it's great training. It's a lot of it. We do a great job. We put it together by most of the cadets. That's our senior projects as we plan everything. So it really sets you up for success. And then our juniors are ones that actually go out and execute it and lead the troops through it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's designed to be a, the leadership classes kind of build upon the previous classes. So, as you continue through the program, you get increased responsibility, increased leadership positions. We We have an active mentorship program where our senior cadets will mentor the junior and then now some of the sophomore cadets on the various leadership attributes and competencies that the Army has, all to make them better prepared, because when they graduate, regardless if they go into the National Guard, the Army Reserve, or the Active Duty Army, they will be going in as a leader. They'll be a platoon leader. They'll be in charge of anywhere from 30 to 40 soldiers, potential several $1 million worth of equipment, and they're going to be responsible for that. So we need to instill the confidence in them, those various leadership things that the Army's looking for, so that when they go off and get to their unit, they're as prepared as possible. Now, yeah, it continues on after that. The Army is a lifelong education and training process, but we do provide them those basic skills that they need to be effective as an officer, as a platoon leader.
So part of the curriculum then is leadership training,
yes,
which is so important in military and in combat.
Absolutely.
And so everybody has that experience.
Yep.
And
yep.
Oh, that's good.
Because again, that's what they're going to be. If they complete our program, graduate from the university, they're going to be commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army, and they'll get some additional basic officer leader training in their assigned branch, but they're going to be in a leadership position as that officer, and they'll continue on through that. But it's probably one of the few programs where after graduation from college, you are going right into a position of responsibility, position of authority, but something where you are going to be directly responsible for soldiers, for equipment, for everything that they're going to be involved with. You're going to be responsible for as an officer.
One of the things that I've experienced, of course, when I went through many years ago, technology was not a big issue, and we had a gun and grenades, and that was about it, and a truck. Yeah. Today, the technology that training has to deal with. Share with me a little bit about that. And is that a part of the program? And
it's not so much a part of our program here. The cadets in our program today, just because the time that they've grown up, they are more technologically savvy than I was when I graduated in 1985. But technology, there are, in my 30 years of service as an Army officer and reserve officer, I've seen huge increases in the technology that are available, and not just to your higher up units. I'm talking about soldiers on the ground, stuff that they have available now. One thing we are going to be looking at is as we are looking at with the Defense Department and the Army, trying to figure out the budget and what it's going to be, looking at how we can train smarter but more cost-effective ways. So we will be incorporating technology. There's different simulation games and programs that we can use to force cadets to make a decision then based on the scenario that they're put into. So it trains those decision-making skills. So we'll start incorporating those into our training. But it still comes down to, regardless of the technology, being able to lead a person is going to be the same skill that it was, in your case in Korea, that it was, in my case in Iraq, and for both of us in Afghanistan. You need to be able to lead, and the technology is not going to necessarily make you a better leader. It's who you are as a person, how you develop, how you grow, how you respond to those things that don't always go well. That's really what's most important.
Yes, that leadership is, I understand that very clearly. Yeah. You're absolutely right. We have about 5 minutes left, and I'd like to talk about how a prospective candidate gets into the program. Who should they contact at UNI, and how can they get into your program?
For high school students, the best way to do it is to go through the high school application process, which is an online. It's goarmy.com/ROTC. There's a link to the scholarship application. Those are national selection boards that happen their senior year. However, there's about a 40% selection rate for the students who apply and complete that process that actually get scholarships. For our program, we really focus on the incoming freshmen. any freshman or student at UNI actually can take the military science classes. I work with them, most of them, Austin and I met during the freshman orientations or during an office visit. We provide them information, help them get enrolled in the class. And then they'll work with me if they decide, yes, I want to be an Army officer. What do I need to do? I sit down with them to talk about, make sure there are qualifications they have to meet, and then help them, again, with that contracting piece where they're making that obligation to become an officer. So any student at UNI can take our military science classes. I work with them to make sure they meet all the qualification requirements. U.S. citizen, they have to be medically qualified, pass the Army physical fitness test. Those are the big ones. And there's some other things as well that make sure that they're qualified. And then if they decide, they make that decision. And also it's the cadre, the Lieutenant Colonel Keith, the Professor of Military Science. He has to just say, yes, this person has demonstrated potential to be an officer, because he's the one who actually says, yes, I'm going to sign this person, sign the contract, and swear them in.
Just review briefly the qualifications required to get into ROTC.
The first one is they have to be a U.S. citizen. They can be natural born or naturalized, doesn't matter, as long as they're a U.S. citizen. They have to be medically qualified. We do that. We send them to do their physical exam. They have to be a full-time student, so usually 12 hours, credit hours as an undergrad, 9, and graduate students can do ROTC as well. They have to pass the Army physical fitness test, which is 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. They have to meet the Army height weight standards. The new thing now is the Army's tattoo policy. They can't have any tattoos that are outside the bounds of that policy, because that will eliminate them. So I tell all my prospects, if you don't have any tattoos, wait. If you decide you want to get one, make sure you talk to somebody. But that's a big one that we're concerned with now. Those are the big things that they have to be qualified on in order to contract. And by contract, I mean they're making that obligation to become an officer, complete the program. So those are the big things. But again, any student at UNI can take our classes. They'll get some good leadership training, some good experience. And then if they decide they want to be an officer, I work with them. But by taking our classes, they're not obligated themselves to become an officer at that point. So it allows them to try it. And some kids will say, yes, that's what I want to do. Other ones say, hey, thanks, and I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something else.
Review, we have a couple of minutes. Review the, who do they contact? Do they contact you?
Yes, I am the point of contact at UNI. Again, Mr. John Thompson, the Scholarship Enrollments Officer, Recruiting Operations Officer. My phone number is 319-273-6225. It's on the screen right now, and you got my email address there, so I'm the one to contact.
Okay. Well, we have a minute left, and Austin, I thank you for coming today, and thank you to John and sharing this. This has been very interesting, and I'm a very pro-military guy, and I just really appreciate. And I appreciate the schools are becoming more and more interested in ROTC. I went through a period of time in my life when it was not popular. Yep. And I'm seeing a change, and I think that's really great. Thank you both for being on today, and hope someday we can get you back.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Thank you for joining us for another program of Veterans in Cedar Valley. Thank you.